In the beginning of the 19th century, the dawning of a new era of communication technology was upon the world. The Federal Communications Commission was born in 1934, with the purpose of regulating interstate and international communications by radio, television, wire, satellite, and cable. During the 1930s, the FCC established regulations on the ownership of radio stations and the use of the radio spectrum. This period saw the introduction of television broadcasting, which the FCC regulated by requiring television stations to provide educational programming, as well as regulating the content of programs. The 1940s saw the expansion of the FCC's role in communications, with the Commission regulating telephone services. This period also saw the introduction of long-distance telephone services, which the FCC regulated in order to ensure fair competition. In the 1950s, the FCC established regulations for the new medium of television, including the Fairness Doctrine, which required broadcasters to present balanced coverage of controversial topics. The FCC also established rules for the use of the radio spectrum and for the licensing of radio and television stations. In the 1960s, the FCC addressed the question of the fairness of television programming, and the Commission also established new rules to regulate the ownership of television and radio stations. In addition, the FCC issued the first licenses for cellular telephones, which began to be used in the United States in the 1970s. The 1980s saw the introduction of satellite communications and the deregulation of the telephone industry. The FCC also established rules for the licensing of satellite services and the use of the radio spectrum. The 1990s saw the rapid growth of the Internet, and the FCC established rules to regulate the Internet. The FCC also adopted rules to ensure that consumers have access to affordable telephone services, and the Commission also began to address issues such as privacy and data security. The 2000s saw the introduction of digital television, and the FCC adopted rules to ensure that consumers had access to digital television services. The FCC also adopted rules to ensure that consumers had access to broadband internet services, and the Commission established rules to ensure that consumers had access to affordable telephone services. In the 2010s, the FCC established new rules to protect consumers from unfair and deceptive practices in the telecommunications industry. The Commission also adopted rules to ensure that consumers had access to a free and open Internet. In addition, the FCC adopted rules to protect consumer privacy and data security. The FCC also established rules to ensure that consumers have access to affordable telephone services and broadband Internet services. The FCC continues to regulate the communications industry and to ensure that consumers have access to affordable, high-quality communications services.